Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching, wherever you're watching. My name is Laurens Vreekamp, and in the chat there's Romy. And welcome to another lesson of programmatic strategy, which is part of the advertising revenue track, which sits in the wider G&I Google News Initiative Digital Growth Program. Welcome. It's great to have you live here or whenever you're watching at a later point. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions, please let us know, or things you would like to add, examples that you know of, please feel free to add to the chat. And Romy will send me a notification, and I might be able to say hi, answer your questions. Romy will provide you with some links, and I will tell you what we have in store for you for these next 30 to 45 minutes. It's all about programmatic strategy. And another thing I would like to signpost it is that there is a roundtable session via Google Meet, which is starting right after this lesson around 12 p.m. So 1 hour after this start. So a roundtable session where you can ask your questions on topics that we've discussed earlier today, but also about topics I'm going to talk about these next few minutes, next few moments, programmatic strategy. So once again, welcome. Please let us know who you are via the chat right there, and say hi to Romy. So without any further ado, let us start. Because our lesson plan for today, which is programmatic strategy, sits within this wider lesson plan, and it's all created for you and helping you becoming a successful digital publisher. Today, this lesson, programmatic strategy, sits within the advertising revenue stream or track. As you can see, data and ads with what's the lesson which came before, but there's also another track like reader revenue, but also data management, audience development, and on the far left, business strategy. They're all different kinds of lessons that help you in becoming a successful digital publisher. Now, to get the most out of this training, we would like to show you the variety of options that are available to you. However, it's really important for us to say that these are just options, and the world of digital publishing online is complex, and each and every business has different challenges. You have different audiences, a varying amount of resources, maybe your mission, your goals. So what we would like to do is show you case studies, examples, actions, and further resources, which will be provided by Romy via the chat. But it's up to you to decide, because these are all just suggestions. It's up to you to decide what actions and next steps you're going to take, and they will be different based on your needs, your experiences, and your aims. So today we're going to talk about programmatic, and why does this matter? Programmatic advertising brings data into the ad buying equation, and it makes the process both automated and programmable through algorithms and software platforms, but also with humans involved. And this makes the process more efficient, the ad buying system more efficient. It makes it therefore cheaper, and it makes the ad buying automation easier. But is it as simple as plug and play? We'll see, and there's more to consider now and in the future. So to give you some more of an understanding about the programmatic strategy, we've divided this lesson up into three main topics, three areas of focus. One is the future for programmatic ads, because the landscape is already changing, and this will have a dramatic effect for programmatic ads in the future. Secondly, there's a hybrid model. Traditional human sales teams are working alongside programmatic. We'll look at a funnel, which is the third topic of today's lesson, the programmatic funnel. Do you know how to make the most of this new hybrid model where humans and machines work in collaboration alongside? We'll run through the different options. And as you can see, we will look at some of the tools that you can use to help you get started with a programmatic strategy. Now, the future for programmatic ads is the first topic we will be discussing. Now, in an earlier lesson today on data and ads, we've talked about the death of the third-party cookie and its impact on programmatic, because the landscape is changing. People have called it the cookie apocalypse. In January 2020, Google announced its plan to phase out its third-party cookies over the next 2 years, just as Safari and Firefox have done. Why, you would ask? Well, third-party cookies can attempt to track individuals' browser usage beyond just the site where they were first loaded. So blocking them should make the web more secure and private for users. But as so many programmatic ads serve are dependent heavily on third-party cookies as part of wider campaigns, for example, cross-site targeting. And it means the old programmatic approach is having to change. We might wonder, what does this mean for publishers? Well, the death of third-party cookies is unlikely to affect Google's own advertising business too much because it collects user information in plenty of other ways. Publishers, however, might find advertisers are looking around to find alternative ways to run their campaigns, and this may have a knock-on effect on the way online publishers do business. So that's why it's important to make sense of this changing landscape. Well, there are tools you can use out there, such as experiments to find ways to stay on top of the changes taking place in the industry. One of the things is testing beyond the simple A/B scheme. And because of these changes, and given that so much goes into a programmatic campaign, you are going to want to do everything you can to help advertisers optimize their return on investment. Now, here's something you can do straight away. Use experiments to test the ad performance in more detailed ways than a basic traditional A/B scheme. For example, you can use a tool such as Display and Video 360, and Romy will provide you with the link in the chat right there. Well, the tool Display and Video 360, it provides an A/B testing framework to evaluate every dimension of a campaign and report back what performs best. So by splitting the cookies into mutually exclusive groups, experiments let you test different combinations of targeting, settings, creatives, and so on. So there are a number of options where you can fine-tune in a granular way. And the findings can then be used to improve a campaign mid-flight or influence planning for future campaigns. Using experiments, you can also report on key metrics such as cost per click, click-through rates, CPA, CVR, and cost per mille, etc. There's also an optimization view that shows you whether your insertion orders and line items are on track to hit the spend and performance goals. In the line item tables, the optimization view will also show recommendations for changes to make to improve pacing and performance. Now, there is a hybrid model, the human and the machine. Something else that is changing because humans are making a comeback when it comes to your programmatic strategy. Let me tell you a bit about the case study from Village Media, and they did a multi-channel approach. It's a network of local news websites in Canada. They had a physical sales team and a programmatic ads to fill the rest. And they do have further partner sites across Canada, the UK, and the US. Well, what Village Media did is they took a multi-channel approach to sales, using a physical sales team to promote local ads to businesses, alongside social and newsletter campaigns to increase contributions, so that 47% of their revenue came from these physical sales teams to promote local ads to businesses, and 4% social and newsletter campaigns. Well, programmatic is then used to backfill remaining open inventory, which is 20% of their revenue. So this is how they've split it up. So between a physical sales team for local ads to businesses, social newsletter campaigns to increase contributions, and then programmatic to backfill the remaining open inventory. Let us tell you a bit about before programmatic advertising, and they had reach and topic, which may be very familiar to you. Online ads were booked according to a site's reader base, the reach, and the context, the themes and topics that were mostly covered by the content or the news outlet. So before programmatic, there was a first banner. It was created 21 years ago. It was run by AT&T, and it appeared on a site called hotwired.com. It was from the original website of the Wired magazine. And the ad asked, have you ever clicked your mouse right here? An arrow pointed to the rather ominous prediction, spelled out in capital letters, you will. So back in the days, before programmatic, advertising and third-party cookies, brand would choose where to buy ad space through the lens of context. For example, a sportswear retailer would simply choose to display its ads on sites that were read by people who were likely to buy sportswear. While sales teams would sell ads, print, television, radio, and even early websites. And two key points they sold on were reader base, as just said, the reach, and the context. For example, the topic of the content. Now, how would they measure the impact? They used a statistical approach. So TV and radio have made use of statistical measurements almost from the very beginning. And one of the effects of the changes taking place in the online ad industry with its reliance on quality customer data may be to encourage a shift towards implementing a TV industry-like approach to statistical currency. But it's only recently that a true revolution in advertising has become evident. Fueled by the rise of ad tech or advertising technology, the buying and selling of digital advertising is evolving at a mind-bending pace. This was a bit of a very short crash course on before programmatic. And with the introduction of programmatic ads meant that any publisher could benefit without sales teams or special tech expertise. Now, to go into that a bit more in depth, programmatic plug and play. So along came programmatic. And if you do have any questions at this point, please feel free to add them, put them in the chat. So Romy and I may be able to answer them. And if you do realize you have some other things you would like to discuss or add or ask or examples that you have, feel free to join us for the roundtable session within the Google Meet, which is starting in 48 minutes, so right after this. So programmatic buying isn't just efficient, it leads to more sophisticated and relevant campaigns. Let me tell you a bit about the key points here. The buying process is automated. Only the highest paying ads go live, and with the right ads chosen for your audience, it frees up your time to focus on strategy and innovation. Now, Jack Herrick from the WikiHow, founder from WikiHow, says, all you have to do is drop the little AdSense code into your website and it immediately starts working. Now, WikiHow is a good example of this in selling advertising space across a huge site without having to hire a dedicated sales team. So if you're thinking about programmatic plug and play, this might be something to explore a bit more and experiment with. So where the future lies, you could say, be in a hybrid model. So with third-party cookies being blocked, a hybrid or human direct sales team and programmatic techniques combination is likely to emerge. As we know, the third-party cookie is on its way out, and while advertisers and software companies alike they scramble to find an alternative solution, here's a couple of predictions that should stand you in good stead no matter what the long-term future holds. So there's a re-emergence of direct sales ad teams with fresh ideas for generating revenue, working more closely with editors and journalists. And that might be an interesting one, an approach that maybe some journalists might have their thoughts on. But this is something you see more often, the re-emergence of direct sales ad teams working more closely with editors and journalists. Second prediction would be that the programmatic model won't go away, but it is evolving in such a way as to enhance human-driven sales relationships with the advertisers. So to enhance, not to replace, or not to fully automate, but to enhance the human-driven sales relationships with advertisers. Now, to go into that a bit more, this is an example of how classic direct sales methods and programmatic can work in parallel. So imagine your in-house team focuses on directly negotiating high-priority ads, such as could be sponsorships, could be full package takeovers and custom creative integrations, or you could propose a share of voice type of ads that give advertisers a certain share of the page views on their site. Now, this would all involve building relationships with advertisers, and you could then secure quarterly or yearly agreements on a set cost per mille CPM rate for filled ad placements. Now, in other words, your sales team would sell the premium So the premium space directly, and remaining ad space would filter into the programmatic model. So once again, your sales team would sell the premium space directly, and the remaining ad space would filter into the programmatic model. Now, direct sales teams working alongside editors and journalists means moving from the old model of sales versus journalists through the current model of developers and journalists towards a hybrid model of sales, developers, and journalists. So these three maybe previously different departments not working entirely in collaboration now do sales, development, and journalists. So think about that. And before we go into the next chapter of the programmatic funnel, there is a question, and I'm looking at the chat right now. The question is, would full digitalization of advertising and platforms get rid of the contact with your readers? I'm just looking at this and thinking about, would full digitalization of advertising and platforms get rid of the contact with your readers? I think to be able to address this question, to answer it correctly, I would have to know what kind of contact you deem important, the contact with your readers. And as said in a previous lesson today on data and ads, a direct engagement with your readers is quite important, not only for collecting first-party data, but also to maybe choose the topics that you report on, that you want to write on, and finding the right tone of voice and the right relationship with your readers. So my short answer to this question would be that any endeavor, any action that is sort of eliminating the reader from the equation would be a negative thing, because you always want to keep your reader in the loop and want to know, have more information about them, or want to know what they're looking for, what their aims, their pains, their frustrations are in life, so you can help them with your reporting, but also to offer them the relevant information on the right time, at the right device, when there is a question or a need. And that sometimes that is high quality reporting, but it's also when they're looking for new sportswear, for example. So I would say to get rid of the contact with your readers would not necessarily be a good thing. I think you should always work with your reader in mind and try to see in which ways you can engage with them. Now, I see experienced journalists often don't accept the new ways of technology, how to make sure the work between all departments is in harmony. It seems impossible. And I can totally understand that that with every new technology, there's some hesitance to adopt, and sometimes the benefits of new technology aren't quite clear at the very beginning. So my suggestion would be to see if you could, if you want to work between all the departments in harmony, you should, before you start implementing or using new technology, invite all the different expertise and specialists from different disciplines within your newsroom, but also maybe from sales, from publishers, from marketing, but also from customer care, and invite them in a multidisciplinary brainstorm. Invite people who can elaborate and explain the technology, or that might have some experience with, and then think about pros and cons, but do this within a group which has different perspectives, different experiences, and different ways of looking at the technology or its possibilities, and then come up with many different ideas and have people feedback on each other's ideas. So again, I do understand, and I do have some experience, the same experience as the one who has asked the question about experienced journalists often don't accept the new ways of technology. One of the best things is to work together, people from different departments and disciplines with different perspectives. And then as a number one goal, number one aim is to reach a sort of shared vocabulary and mutual understanding of the pros and cons. And because at first there might be a lot of miscommunication, misperception about what things might mean in the future or might not mean in the future, that it might be automating things away. These anxieties and fears do exist. But from my experience and my knowledge, if you bring different people together and discuss technology, discuss those fears, discuss the pros or the potential, You get a much clearer conversation and a much better way to approach maybe a first experiment, but you have to keep everyone involved. Might be a rather long answer, but I hope I've addressed your question. Please let me know if I did, and otherwise, please feel free to join the roundtable, which is starting in 40 minutes in Google Meet. Now, but do let us know in the chat if we've addressed your question. So the third topic of today's lesson is the programmatic funnel, and let's see how a hybrid approach might use direct sales relationships to draw revenue into a new style model known as the programmatic funnel. Now, what is the programmatic funnel? And you can see it right here. The most premium is on top and the least premium is down at the bottom of the funnel. Let me take just a quick sip of water. So if premium slots are booked by live sales teams, which you can see on top of the funnel, what happens to the remainder of ad spaces that filter into the programmatic model? What is this programmatic funnel? Well, working from the most valuable space with the highest premiums down to the least expensive ads, the funnel incorporates on top the programmatic guaranteed deals, the most premium ones. Excuse me. Then there's header bidding, the preferred deal, private auction, private action, open auction, and then self-service, which is the least premium. For example, AdSense, auto ads, simple automated self-service option. Think about the WikiHow founder. So this is how you can see the programmatic funnel, where humans and machine work in tandem, where the programmatic guaranteed deals are most prominent, most premium, and which are being negotiated obviously by the live sales teams. Now, the question is, do you know how to get started with programmatic? We'll look at some premium offerings on how to do that, because you might have that question right now. Let's introduce private auctions. This is where whitelisted buyers for a specific inventory are allowed to bid. Private auctions are programmatic deals that allow publishers to create a higher priority auction available only to whitelisted buyers of their choice for specific inventory, so they can choose themselves which buyers, which ads and brands might be able to bid for specific inventory, and the publisher desires to make available. So within the private auction, publishers establish a specific floor price with chosen advertisers, and they let this small group of buyers compete in an exclusive private programmatic marketplace auction. Now, Display in Video 360 is a demand-side platform, a DSP, that can help you manage private auctions, and Romy will be able to provide you with a link in the chat right there if you have any questions and want to explore yourself. And also, if you do have questions, please join us during the roundtable session. Now, the private auctions is one way of getting started with programmatic. There are 3 steps to summarize. So within the private auction, the publisher establishes, as we said, a specific floor price with the chosen advertisers. Then step 2, this small group of buyers competes in an exclusive private programmatic marketplace auction. Third, any active private auction can be associated with a client, including those in negotiation. So these are the 3 steps that a private auction, how a private auction works. Now, a second way is the preferred deals. It's directly negotiated agreements between publishers and advertisers. Preferred deals is something different. It's an offering that attracts a higher premium than private auctions, and they allow individual publishers to negotiate a fixed price, first look deals with advertisers. Now, the cost per mille is generally higher than regular programmatic and on par with direct sales, because advertisers are seeking impressions based on the specific data available or gathered by the advertiser previously. So preferred deals are direct agreements between the publisher and advertiser, where generally advertisers approach the publisher about specific ad sizes, placements, and audiences, and the 2 parties negotiate an accurate fixed price for the impression amongst themselves. Whereas once advertisers would send publishers an ad tag which would link to the allocated ad placement, now the entire execution runs programmatically to the DSPs, the demand side platforms, and SSPs, the supply side platforms. For example, Google Ad Manager and Display and Video 360, where a deal ID gets things moving along to create a preferred deal. Now, with preferred deals, the CPM is generally higher, the cost per deal is generally higher than through a regular programmatic transaction, and on par with direct sales due to the fact that advertisers are seeking impressions based on the specific data available or data gathered by the advertiser through previous campaigns they managed. Now, there are 3 steps to getting started with preferred deals. So this says private auctions, but it should be preferred deals. Create a proposal in Ad Manager. So all preferred deals start with a proposal, and once created, the proposal is sent to the buyer directly. Now, second step, you and the advertiser negotiate the terms by sending a proposal between you and the buyer until you're both satisfied. Third step and last step, request acceptance to finalize the deal. So once finalized, the buyer has an initial or preferred opportunity to bid on that inventory at the negotiated cost per mille fixed price, CPM fixed price. And another option you have is header bidding, and we've also discussed this. You saw this in the funnel as well. Header bidding is also known as advanced bidding or pre-bidding. Is an advanced programmatic technique where publishers offer inventory to multiple ad exchanges at the same time before making calls to the ad servers. So by letting multiple demand sources bid on the same ad inventory at the same time, publishers can increase their yield and make more money. So it's a way for publishers to simultaneously offer ad space out to numerous service-side platforms or ad exchanges all at one time. And it also gives publishers significantly more control over the process, including who they sell it to. So, interesting position for publishers. Now, and the fourth one is open bidding. It's a type of automated bidding that has been proven to increase yields by up to 35%. Open bidding was formerly known as exchange bidding dynamic allocation, or EBDA. That might be a term you've come across in the past. Open bidding allows you to invite third-party demand partners to compete for your inventory in a single auction with real-time server-to-server bidding. Open bidding in Ad Manager also provides simplified trafficking, reporting, and billing. It's easier to implement than header bidding, is open bidding, and you can use your existing tagging on websites or apps, or you can opt for an SDK, software development kit implementation. Open bidding in Ad Manager also reduces the latency historically associated with header bidding, and Ad Manager communicates directly with third-party demand partners in a server-to-server connection, so which reduces the latency. And under header bidding, there was also complex custom header bidding code usually required to facilitate the communication, and this was causing the latency. Now, eligible inventory trafficked in Ad Manager can take advantage of open bidding with no additional technical development required. There are three steps to getting started with open bidding. You have to have a primary or a mapped ad exchange account. That's required. It must also be linked to your Ad Manager network and set as the default for dynamic allocation. So if you're looking into this, exploring into this, you need to have a primary ad exchange account that is linked to Ad Manager network, set to default for dynamic allocation. Secondly, you need to contact your Google Account Manager to sign an open bidding addendum to your ad exchange contract. This is a one-time process and does not need to be completed for each open bidding buyer. And you have to, as a third step, ensure that the available inventory from Google Publisher tags, the Google Mobile Ads, or the IMA SDK for video. So you need to ensure that you have available inventory. Now, these are the three steps to getting started with open bidding. Now, the highest premium offering in the funnel is Programmatic Guaranteed, and it modernizes the ad buying by allowing publishers and advertisers to implement direct reservation style more easily. So a report by the BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, found that publishers saved 57% more time and agencies advertised 29% when using programmatic guaranteed deals compared to traditional reservations, while still maintaining the same level of control over their campaigns. Now, let me discuss a few of the benefits. They include a simplified workflow, so they save costs and increase efficiency with streamlined ad trafficking, eliminating the need for copy-pasting tags and issuing insertion orders. You get paid in 30 days, so you receive guaranteed in full and on-time payments, processed and paid by Google 30 days after your campaign, and there's no need to wait and collect from all of your different buyers. There's a reduced discrepancies in waste. Integrated buy and sell side platforms enable faster troubleshooting and fewer discrepancies. And there's better performance, and you deliver more for your advertisers. So there's add value for your clients with advanced functionality and features like buying and serving custom ad formats programmatically to improve the campaign performance, reach, and your measurement. Now, there are 3 steps to getting started with Programmatic Guaranteed. 1, you create a proposal in Ad Manager, and all Programmatic Guaranteed deals start with a proposal. Once created, the proposal is sent to the buyer directly. Secondly, you and the advertiser, you negotiate the terms, and by sending a proposal between you and the buyer until you're both satisfied. Third, last step, you request acceptance to finalize the deal. Now, let me tell you a bit about a case study from Condé Nast. They have a portfolio of iconic titles which you might be familiar with, like Vanity Fair, Vogue, GQ, Bon Appetit, and The New Yorker. It operates some of the most coveted destinations for advertisers. And they added programmatic guaranteed inventory to existing direct deals. Now, these direct deals have been a core component of Condé Nast digital business from the outset. But recently, they have been selling more and more of its premium inventory via Programmatic Guaranteed. And at the same time, it trained staff, hired new programmatic experts, and educated ad clients on the benefits. So over the last 2 years, the company's Programmatic Guaranteed order volume has increased 41%, and revenue has grown 93%, outpacing the marketplace norm. Another example, a case study, is Post Media from Canada. They're a press agency. They have correspondents in Canada, Europe, and the United States. And they use Programmatic Guaranteed to reduce the manual processes for operations teams and to increase the efficiency of direct sales and show advertisers the value of programmatic premium. And this approach has made Post Media save 60% of the effort required by its teams to set up sales, increasing the time available to grow advertisers' relationships. So it helped in many ways. And the point to make here is that Programmatic Guaranteed has reduced the time required by its human sales team, demonstrating how both can work in tandem. So, as a summary, because we've covered quite some options that you have within this programmatic and this hybrid human machine funnel. We've discussed the future for programmatic ads, and the landscape is changing, and this will have an effect on programmatic ads in the future. We've looked at the hybrid model, traditional human sales, that in teams working alongside programmatic, and then we've looked at the funnel, how to get the most out of this new hybrid model. As we can understand, there might be some questions, and we would like to go into these now. So if you do have anything you would like to ask, discuss, or add, please feel free to use the chat right there, or join us within 25 minutes for the roundtable, the Google Meet. Now, let's have a moment to take your questions. Now, as we understand, this might be some topics that you might have to chew on or think about. So if you do have any questions or would like to think about it just for now, please take your time and join us at 12 p.m. for the roundtable session via the Google Meet. Or look at some other lessons, which I can show you right here. This is the the greatest suite of lessons for becoming a successful digital publisher. One of the things we would like to point you to that connects to the content of this lesson as well is in the second track, audience development, in the green track, creating content for digital, but also in the track for reader revenue, where we have options on reader revenue models and alternative income streams. We would like to point out that you can rewatch or view these, join these lessons as well. And there are some other options to continue your journey. As I've said, the roundtable starting in 25 minutes via the Google Meet, where you can join Romy and me and ask your questions or discuss examples. There are labs, and as I see, there is a question. How long does it take to see if new digital strategy works? Does Google suggest a time frame? And the second question is, what will we do in a roundtable? Now, let me go into the first question. How long does it take to see if a new digital strategy works? Again, this depends obviously on your own goals, your own resources, the people that you have in your team that might work on this. So it's a bit of a hard question to have a sort of general rule of thumb. From the WikiHow founder, the quote said that you just implement and it starts and it works right away. So maybe if it's necessary for you, if you do have short time frame, then maybe you could say it could start working within days or weeks. But maybe you have to set some goals and maybe some your North Star. What are you trying to achieve? And then maybe you need 3 months or 18 months. It's totally up to you, to your context and the resources you have. So it's a bit hard to suggest a time frame. You can get most of these technologies implemented within hours if you have the right people in place within your team. Then it could be done in hours. So you could have see digital strategy working within days or weeks. But obviously, it depends on your context. Second question, what will we do in a roundtable? Now, what we will do is we discuss the topics that were in these lessons of this morning, which is data and ads and programmatic. So if you do have any questions about that or the tools like Google 360 and display ads and video, or more about the funnel, these will be topics that we can discuss in the roundtable. And yes, I believe there are sessions available in other languages as well. And therefore, I would like to point you to the GNI Digital Growth online center and see if you can find out where. I think there's Spanish and French and other languages as well. So maybe if you take a look at the GNI Digital Growth program pages, you'll find which other languages are available as well. Hoping to have addressed all these questions for now. And please, if you do have any other thoughts you would like to share, examples to share, or questions you have, please join us for the roundtable starting at 12 p.m. And without any further ado, and also on behalf of Romy, I would like to say thank you. And don't forget to fill out the feedback form, which Romy will put in the chat, because that way we can improve the resources we offer and the topics we can put into our lessons for you and other publishers in the future. So, without any further ado, my name is Laurens Vreekamp. Romy was in the chat. Thank you for joining us today.